Mike, you want to give us an EF Overwatch, like a little summary, kind of where, how it started and where it's at today?
Yeah. So let me start with this, Steve. I don't have a military, heritage within my family. My grandfather, much like everyone's grandfather, served in the military during World War II. In the military, it was just a very odd path from where I came from. In particular, I come from a town called Atherton, which is next to Menlo Park in Palo Alto.
Okay.
And you're talking about some very affluent tech leaders, national level leaders. And usually most kids go to college. I enlisted in the Marine Corps. I didn't know what I was getting into. Let's be honest, kids go into the military either because their parents were in the military, there's a long line, or you watch some pretty cool movies that make you think the military is that cool. And that's what that really got me was the movie. So, Gunny Highway from Heartbreak Ridge.
Mm-hmm.
And I met a Force Recon Marine. I won't give you his full name. His name was Ben. And this guy was articulate. He was humbly confident. He was respectful. He conducted himself with pride. And at the age of 18, I'm like, I want to be that guy. I want to be that guy. So when I went into the military, I was blown away by the quality, the pedigree of talent coming from all 50 states. I would come up with this preconceived notion that if you join the military, you really had no other options to enter into the private sector. Completely smashed. The SEALs have created, and I don't think any organization, the Marine Corps as well, have become what we call talent magnets. And if any corporation or business organization could replicate what the Marine Corps, the SEALs, the Green Berets, the Army Rangers do in terms of attracting talent, they would be leaps and bounds the head of their respective industries. And watching these men and women face challenges for which there is no page in the playbook and overcome them, smaller forces going up against larger forces and just eliminating them and continually securing success. And as I came into the MBA program, which I knew nothing about the business world, and humbling, I was like 39, surrounded by 27-year-olds, and they blew me away. I loved these millennials. They probably got me through that MBA program more than the professors did. Is I just saw an absolute need for talent coming out of the special operations community and the military at large. We're talking about our top, 25% coming out of the military have an absolute place in the business world to drive organizations forward. And we've seen this. We've seen bad organizations that bring in a few of the right leaders, and the culture changes overnight. And that's really where the premise was for EF Overwatch. Funny enough, I went on Fox News, and the interviewer said, "Hey, so tell us how you're helping veterans." And I stopped it right there. I'm like, actually, I'm not helping veterans. I'm helping American businesses. If the talent they need to drive their organizations forward. We need to reverse that, the poor veterans need jobs. No, there are some very high-performing veterans coming out that can step into your organizations. The learning agility to learn that industry, your organization in a matter of months, and become a contributing member of the team. And that's the bottom line. And that's what that's why George and I love what we do. We're consumed by this thing called the talent war, and it is a war.
And that's the name of the new book, right? The Talent War.
It is.
Okay, I want to get into the book for sure, and let me ask you a couple of questions about EF Overwatch real quick. So, was it? So you were a co-founder in 2018? Is that accurate?
It was 2018, the year I had retired. And remember, my first venture into the business world was a organization called Vetted Foundation.
Right.
Basically, we set up a MBA Lite. Let's call it that, a 1 month to 2 month program where very high performing veterans came in that were transitioning out, and we took their business acumen from nearly nothing to a very high level, and that organization was highly successful. But the number one question Leif Babin and Jocko Willink have at the end of working with these companies is, where can we find 10 more of you? I need 10 leaders like you in my company now. I don't care if they have industry experience or not. I need that growth mindset. And at the time, Jocko and Leif, it's a leadership training consultancy. They said, hey, we're not in the talent acquisition game or the recruiting game.
I see.
And I served with both those guys at SEAL Team 3. Jocko was my task unit commander. Leif was what we call a platoon commander above me. And I said, hey, fellas, you keep getting this question. I built some competency in this game. Let's start a talent acquisition wing of Echelon Front.
I see.
And how it was created. And shortly after that, I met George. And what George brings is all the talent acquisition experience that I lack, the nuances.
I gotcha.
And that's where it was just a perfect, I hate to say it, marriage. George, don't get excited. And that's why I think we clicked not only on a personal level, but because we want to change the game for American businesses. We want to make this economy much stronger.
Okay. And how did you come up with the name, by the way? Why EF Overwatch? Just curious.
Yeah. So Echelon Front is the name of the leadership training company. And so that's what EF stands for. Overwatch was a mission we ran during the Battle of Ramadi, in which we would set up sniper Overwatch positions to support the Army infantry and the Marine infantry on the ground, who was fighting house to house and street to street. So we would overwatch them in order for them to be successful. They were the primary effort. They were the main effort, so that if they won their mission, the entire organization would win. We're overwatching not only veterans, but American companies. Let us help you secure the talent you need to keep driving forward.
Perfect name. I love it. Okay, very good. I didn't know that. I'm glad you shared that. So today then, if I ran $100 million business and I needed a new COO or president or CEO or VP of sales, I could call EF Overwatch and you would help me find somebody that came from special forces or came from, the military of some kind, or do you go even beyond that with helping them find talent?
We do. We can absolutely do that. We've placed a number of C-suite veteran leaders into companies, and they're doing great. And guess what? Not all of them had industry experience. It's one of the things we got to make sure that the business understands is like, we need you to get over this industry experience thing. And I'll talk about that in a bit, Steve. And these leaders have stepped in, and the phone call we get from the CEOs is like, best hire I've ever made.
Sweet.
Now, we don't want to help just the high-performing senior military members. We want to help pretty much all veterans. We've recently created a platform that's in its infancy called EF Legion. And it is a jobs board, but what we're providing those veterans is additional leadership training on top of what they learned in the military. And George is helping them with the career development piece, helping them identify what's the next move for them through career and industry research, self-assessments to identify their strengths and weaknesses and where that really falls into the private sector. And then ultimately, how to prepare your resume, how to win the interview, how to convey the value you can bring to that organization. And then we also provide leadership training after they get hired as well. They have access to staying in touch with Jocko and Leif Babin and the rest of the Echelon Front leadership instructors as they run into different obstacles or scenarios in the business world, and how to properly overcome those as a emotionally intelligent leader.
Okay, so EF Legion really is centered around candidates, and EF Overwatch is really the talent acquisition arm that focuses on the relationship with the clients. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it is. And, one of the things that we're able to do is, with our combined experience, and what makes it unique for companies is that we're also doing the consulting piece. I mean,
okay.
Steve, you've been in the industry a lot of time. There's a lot of people who will turn to companies like ours, and it's more order taking. That's not the case, because, what Mike and I know about business, talent, the military, special operations, combat, and leadership in general, is we're helping them, define that role, and we're also helping to make that match. And, one of the things that's certainly making us different with the senior military leaders and military leaders in general is we're helping them bridge that gap, and not bridge it on the interview side, because, sometimes it's difficult to articulate, given the built-in humility piece from the military side, having them overcome that and then transition those skills, not into corporate speak, but impact speak. things that show how they're going to be impactful. And so we're bringing those two sides together. And then the Overwatch piece, we're keeping a watch on them to make sure that that assimilation, that those challenges that they're confronting, that we're still there to provide that consulting, that leadership, that training, that coaching, that mentorship to make them successful in those companies. There's nothing more that Mike and I want to see, U.S. businesses thrive in their space and dominate and win. Additionally, we want to make sure the same thing happens from the veterans. And I'm sure you've seen a number of recruiting firms that are spray and pray, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And so, we're selective when we work with the companies and selective when we work with the veterans to make sure that we're getting the right match and that it happens for the right reasons for everybody.
The Riderflex podcast features entrepreneurs, business executives, and the stories behind how they got there, as well as daily tips on career advice and job interviews. Our show can be heard just about anywhere these days, but you can visit riderflex.com and click on the podcast page to hear all the previous episodes and learn more about the recruiting and consulting services we provide. Contact us at the email address info@riderflex.com or 888-964-5876. Thanks so much for listening, and if you enjoy our show, please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like the episodes.